Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Today it's going to be a match between IdrA and IdrA from 2009 here in 1440p and the Remastered client. It's weird that we can watch replays from 11 years ago. Wait, hang on a second. 12 years ago now. In better quality and much better quality than it was actually played. It's very, very strange. Top side and the left side of Carthage, we have the purple Terran player. It is IdrA. And in the bottom right, it's the Ukrainian Protoss. He's brown. It is IdrA. Alright, so IdrA versus IdrA here. Two of the more popular foreigners that I cast on the channel and just in Brood War at large. These two guys are so popular. People love watching them play. IdrA has a huge following in his part of the world. People like watching IdrA because he rages generally, but he's also a very good Terran player. Hey, look, he's not Boxer, okay? He's not Flash. He's not even Nada. He's not any of those players, right? He's a pretty solid Terran player who knows what he's doing. You're going to watch his game and not think he sucks. Actually, you might think he sucks, but he's way better than you are, and I think that's what matters here. Anyway, we're here on Carthage. This is 2009 IEF, according to the replay name that I got. I don't know why they're playing under the names Reagan and Gorbachev. I mean, it... It kind of makes sense because IdrA is an American. So for him to be the president, Ronald Reagan, and for Gorbachev down here, leader of the USSR that kind of oversaw the dissolving of the USSR. It's an interesting concept. I kind of like it. I mean, obviously that was happening in the 80s. Into the Berlin Wall fell late 80s, if I remember right. I was old enough to... Right? Like, I'm old enough to remember the Berlin Wall falling, but that's about it. Let's see, Berlin Wall fell, yeah, 89, that's what I thought, November 89. It was very late in the year, almost 1990. So I was 7 years old. I was not very old at all. But yeah, back then I feel like nightly news was more interesting in a lot of ways than it is today. I think the world is a lot overall quieter, I think, and more peaceful than it used to be on a global political scale, right? Like China, Russia, the US, the three big dogs on the block. We don't all super get along, but I think we all trade with each other on some level, and I think we have a certain level of diplomatic understanding that didn't exist during the Cold War between the US and the USSR. I don't know. I don't have a degree in political science. I might just be talking out of my butt here, but anyway. Man, we went down that rabbit hole fast, huh? What's the Reagan-Gorbachev name? That's not my fault. It's IdrA's and IdrA's fault is all it is. Anyway, stuff's happening here. Just a one-gate expander Rooney out of the Protoss. Factory coming up pretty fast from the Terran, which does get scouted. Both players are scouting what's going on here. So it's not going to be super-duper fast for Dragoon pressure, which means IdrA could have squeaked in a second command center here before the factory, but you know what? Better safe than sorry. Against somebody as skilled as IdrA is, I think that was the smart choice for IdrA. I'm not going to complain about it too much. Anyway, this is a Patreon cast for the patreon.com/Falcon Paladin page. If you're watching this the week of January the 6th, thank you so much for supporting me out there for as little as $1 a month. That will give you access to these replays a month before anybody sees them, which is a lot of fun. I try to choose interesting and exciting replays and matchups for the Patreon cast of the week a month before they post out on the YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, happy February. Hope things are going well for you. All right, so our second gateway is coming up here. Still not working on Singularity Charge. Interesting here from IdrA. No there we go. Finally getting it started, but man, his economy, he's doing all right as far as probe count is concerned. He's down, actually, compared to SCV count. The SCV production's been very good here from IdrA. That is one of his things. His macro is excellent. When he transitioned to StarCraft 2 and he switched to Zerg, he was the macro king in StarCraft 2 for a little bit there. His ability to max out on roaches he was the first player I really saw to do that and be like, wow, okay, so that's what you can do with a ton of roach. Anyway, we've talked about this before, but he's the reason the roach got changed from 1 supply to 2 supply. I think he was personally responsible for that. Anyway, what really kept IdrA back is his micro, I think, and some of his decision-making and his ability to get tilted by things that other players would not be tilted by. I think that's what prevented him from being a really, truly excellent Forerunner. Everyone's got their weaknesses, though. It's entirely fair. Yeah, I think he stepped away from StarCraft a long time ago, years ago, and I don't think has really ever been interested in coming back at all. The IdrA. So, yeah, this is nice. Whiterow's kind of giving IdrA a stress-free opening here. You've got tanks out, but the pressure's late. We're at 5.5 minutes, going to be 6 minutes before Dragoons show up, and there's siege-moded tanks already here, ready to go. You don't even need a bunker or anything. 28 to 24 workers. IdrA, despite taking the later expansion, actually has more workers than IdrA does, which is crazy to me. I feel like Whiterow should have the better economy at this stage. Second factory coming up from the Terran. Third base warping in bottom left side for Whiterow. Exactly how you want to do this. How you beat Terran as Protoss. Make a ton of bases, out-expand them, out-zerg them. Make more units than they have, so their cost effectiveness. The cost efficiency of siege tanks especially is not as big a deal when you make, you know, 20%, 30%, 40% more units than the Terran player does anyway. Citadel of Adun coming in on a robotics facility, which, could just be for observers here on the robotics facility. Citadel of Adun could just be for speed for the Zealots. You do need those things. But why am I feeling Dark Templar when I see this, though? I don't know. If we get a fast Templar Archives, that could tell us either Dark Templar or just, I guess, fast Arbiter off of 3 base, which is something we've seen quite a bit on the channel recently as well for the PvT. And there's your Templar Archives. Okay. All right. Let's keep an eye on that production tab, see what Whiterow is up to. Is there really any surprise at all what IdrA is going to do here? No. It's going to be Vultures. They're moving out there with their speedy upgrades. Zoom, 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 zoom. Fastest units, I feel like, in the game. I think we looked this up once. I think mutas were faster, but not many things. Scouting around. Again, losing a couple vultures there when I think it would have been better to maybe back up, go around, and then come scout this area. But he wanted to come in here fast. And you know what? That kind of works out for him. Those are some probe kills you're going to get. Absolutely. This is not a wall. Whiterow, what are you doing? Oh, this is beautiful. This is really good stuff. Several probes going down here. And even on 3 bases, Whiterow's at 31 probes to 40 SCVs for IdrA. I'm telling you, the macro is good here. It is excellent here. Things that we have seen make IdrA rage as carriers in PvT, so I'm not sure if we're going to get there today out of Whiterow or not, but it's definitely a possibility. He is making a Stargate, but again, based on the tech that he's got so far, yeah, we're probably just looking at 3 base Arbiter opening from the Protoss from Ukraine. Would make a lot of sense anyway. All right, so factory, guess what? Just all the factories known to man. Obviously, so what we're working on here, the Terran isn't really comfortable moving out until they have, you know, 10 tanks or so, 10, 12, somewhere around there. The Vultures are here to buy time. You're here to set down Spider Mines, make sure the Protoss can't just waltz into the natural base and cause problems. And try to slow down the economy of the Protoss here, too. It's very much a TVZ style thing. Slow down the economy of the Protoss even while they're trying to out-expand the Terran and out-economy them, which is what you want to do. So yeah, there's your observatory. Here's your Arbiter Tribunal? No, Gateway. I heard something warping in. There's the Tribunal. I see you. I see you standing there. Third base, top right for Reagan Gorbachev. Where's your third base, Gorbachev? Here, I guess. It's not too far, or fourth base. It's not far from your third base. This is also not terrible. Nah, you know what? This is your fourth. We're going to call that a fourth base for that southern location on Carthage. I don't think I've cast a map on Carthage, but it's fairly destination-like, kind of in the north-south orientation here. Expansions down the sides. The center doesn't have much going by way of economy. You know how this works. DT out. It is a Dark Templar, though. Right? So that's fair. 1 DT. Not a bad idea. Oh. The scan. Oh, I was going to say, the scan wore off. There you go. Second scan does come in. Takes out a Vulture before he dies. He knows he's dead. He's going to try to get some damage done anyway and accomplishes that goal. Anyway, hit that like button if you're enjoying this cast. This is, it's a fun matchup. I find myself excited for it. Just, I guess maybe because these guys are both foreigners, and I identify more with the foreigner players in StarCraft. Right? I mean, that's just how it is. You just identify with people who are more like us. The Koreans are better. Absolutely, the Koreans are better at StarCraft than every foreigner who's ever lived. And it's their sport. They have taken it from the American video game development company in California, Blizzard, and made it their own. It's one of the weirder... Man, in all of esports history, is there a weirder story than StarCraft being developed by Blizzard and turning into Korea's national pastime? I don't think there is. I mean, I try to pay attention to esports news and stuff, but I just don't know that there's another sport that is so heavily dominated by a single country is the big deal here. I look at Dota standings and League of Legends standings and Fortnite players and Hearthstone stuff, and it seems like players from all over the world are good and competing, and everything's fine. It's not one country's dominance in anything, really. I mean, I assume Madden football is dominated by Americans just because nobody in the entire world except for Americans plays American football, but who knows. Is this... Okay, so second armory coming in, science facility there, control tower here too. We're going to go for some science vessels, obviously, with some nice EMP. Recall being researched by Gorbachev. Got a little Charon boost on the way. Missile turrets to defend against Arbiter recalls. A couple Goliaths in the mix. Goliaths are pretty good units against Protoss in general. Their ground attack is really nice. It's actually more attack than a Marine gets. It's just that it's slow, so that's the trade-off. But Protoss is fairly slow as well, so you can actually get some good stuff done with a Goliath here. And their anti-air is almost second to none as far as anti-air is concerned. With range especially, but also damage is fantastic. So if you're trying to kill Arbiters, trying to kill Observers, trying to snipe off Zealots and Dragoons that are trying to jump on top of your tanks, you're going to do fairly well when it comes to the Goliath. Yeah, I looked it up. I don't know that I've cast a game between these two players before. I know I definitely haven't cast a game between these two players on Carthage. Part of the problem is that Whiteraw's name is spelled in different ways. It's either White-Ra or Whiterah one word. And I'm realizing now I might have actually cast an IdrA versus Whiterah game. I just didn't search it properly in my video catalog, so I didn't see it. Pretty sure these guys have come across each other before. I just misspelled it on the search. But not on Carthage. Carthage is a new map. But again, very destination-y, right? Main here, expansion here, base down this way. I guess this base is not really a destination thing, but even kind of this top right corner dealio is a thing. There's a lot of gas on this map. Every base has a gas, which is a little bit interesting for maps of this era. But I like it. I like it anyway. Trying to take down a cannon here, but that's they're gonna get it, but at the cost of three vultures. To cancel construction on a single cannon, maybe not great. But look at this: 3 base for IdrA, 3 base for Whiterah. This is not looking as good for Whiterah as it could. I'm telling you, the macro. There's your recall though. The macro for Whiterah, storming the SCVs, maybe not as good, but this is excellent. Oh, brutal. Brutal. 5 kills on that High Templar. 4 kills on that High Templar. I think this whole group of Protoss is dead, but man, did they murder the economy at this 3rd base. It's 58 to 52 workers now. That was brutally well executed by Whiterah, and I think that's Whiterah's his special tactics, right? His strength is his ability to pull stuff off like that and immediately get back into the game, maybe even take a lead in this game. Replanting the 4th base. Look at that. Bunch of siege tanks died at responding to this thing. More SCVs have died to these Dragoons, trying to find positions where you can't die, but no, that's out anyway. So a lot of Protoss blood here. But look at all this dead construction for Terran. Jeez, SCV count 55 on 3 bases was substantially higher. DT hiding up in here, but he gets wiped out because of the Spider Mine. Ta-da! Spider Mine. Zelnanga temples in the middle of the map. Whiterot is taking personal exception to them, is going to take them down. It's going to be not instant, but, you know. You're sitting here with +1 attack Protoss units. You hit pretty hard. See, it's already 2-1 upgrades for the Terran player at the moment for his mech units. So that's pretty, again, advantage IdrA on upgrades. All of this, I think, fits under macro. The ability to make a ton of workers, expand at the right times, saturate those expansions, getting upgrades, producing units. All that's macro. When it comes down to decision-making, that's, again, where IdrA struggles a bit. And in certain engagements, a little bit of a struggle there, too. This is pretty nice, though. His Vulture harass today has not been bad. He's killed a lot of probes with the Vultures. Lost a lot of Vultures as well, but, you know, gotta crack some eggs if you want to bake a cake. I believe is how the saying goes. Maybe it's not. Yeah, trying to push up this right side. And is this visible? No. The vision range of Spider Mines is very small, but does recognize that's happening. Follow-up scan to see exactly how big the Protoss army is. And Gorbachev does not like it. He's going to back on down. But the Arbiter is not going to back on down. See you. Heading up. Going to try a recall. No, we're actually heading on back home. Wait, no? No, here it is. Okay, left side, middle side. It's a nice ring of turrets. I don't think, man, that's... I think you could probably sneak up this. And a back... This Spider Mine placement is really good too, though. I don't know if recalling into the main base is the best way to go for this game. Yeah, Observer trying to scout out ahead here, but check what just scouted him out. Oh, 2 Arbiters here? Well, that means one can sack itself. Allow the other one to go. Guess who's making carriers, though? That's right. Whiterot is... Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It's IdrA's favorite unit. Here we go. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is an official tournament scenario. So, IdrA's likelihood to rage at losing to carriers is a little bit lower. In fact, a lot lower than it would be in just a random ladder match. I'm just warning you now. You're like, oh, carriers. IdrA hates those. He's going to rage. No, tournament. Tournament scenario. Where raging has real negative consequences for people who engage in it, IdrA included. That said, we're not actually making carriers. Like, we just have the upgrade for max interceptors. I don't, that alone is not carriers. This is interesting. I guess Gorbachev is just giving himself the option to do so. Alright, so the Arbiters are making their move. Sort of. They're going to get EMP'd by this guy. Ugh. Yep, both of them got EMP'd there. And the Arbiters just kind of let themselves die after that. They recognize, we are useless. Without energy, we cannot do anything. It's a tragic existence that we lead, but somebody must lead it. Yeah, both Arbiters die. I mean... you can't just sit there with 2 Arbiters doing nothing. Oh, 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 what are you, what are, ow, accidental attacked his own Nexus for about 300 damage worth of Dragoon fire. That hurts. So both players are maxed out here at 18 minutes. Getting up this ramp with 4 siege tanks and no stasis support seems a little iffy. That said, I don't know, there's a lot of Protoss down here. I mean, this is the entirety of the Protoss army. So maybe we wander up with some Zealots, take some Spider Mines to the face, get on top of them siege tanks. Alright, alright. Why? Oh, interesting. Defensive Matrixing the Science Vessel. But he does manage to kind of get up the ramp a little bit. Reinforcements from the left side flanking for IdrA, and from the top side coming in too. And the attack on this base is a little bit ill-fated. There's too many siege tanks in the general vicinity. When you can see this many siege tanks, the Protoss army is likely just going to be ruffle-stomped there. So that did free up supply to make 3 carriers, though. So Gorbachev happily sitting here on his mini gas. He's not actually taking gas from this new base, but that's fine. Carriers coming in. We are still making Vultures and siege tanks here for IdrA. Oh, no. Is he going to get... Oh, no. He's going to get caught by surprise. He's going to get caught by surprise by these carriers. That's the ragiest IdrA gets. Maybe. Production tabs, you know, vultures, man. So the problem is there's this really vulnerable transitional period where IdrA doesn't have much of a ground army and his carriers are building, but they take forever. So this base is toast. There's really not saving this base at all. IdrA's like, wait, what? Okay, really, come on. The only reason IdrA is not defending this base with anything is because he doesn't have enough. And why doesn't he have enough, IdrA? It's not because he doesn't have enough bases, it's because he's making carriers. So maybe this, again, IdrA recognizing its carriers, I'm going to try to get as much damage done as I can before the carriers pop out and make my tanks obsolete. I do like that, by the way. I think that's a great idea. But the carriers have arrived. IdrA's aware. He's starting to make at least one more Goliath to add to the group here. IdrA trying to maybe counterattack. That's not going to work out for him at all. EMP on the carriers is interesting. Not enough that one Goliath can kill them. It does some damage, but not all of the damage anyway. Because some hull damage on a carrier is better than no hull damage on a carrier. I suppose that was the thought there. But see, tanks, again, getting worth done as they need to be doing worth. Good stasis on these two tanks, possibly saving this base. That third base, or the fourth base along the left side that IdrA has been having and mining from for a while. Carriers. Just trying to deal with these annoying siege tanks. Look at this, 182 to 127 supply. This is kind of working out for IdrA, I gotta say. He's killed a lot of probes. There's 30 probes remaining right now for the Protoss player. Bad. Oh, again, the siege tanks are kind of irrelevant. The vultures are a little bit irrelevant as well. So they're going to come in here and try to kill a ton of these probes. This is really amazing from IdrA. Dude, IdrA is killing it. I mean, does he have the static damage or the splash damage needed to kill every one of these probes? No, but, you know, vultures kill them pretty fast anyway. So that works out pretty well. It's 15 probes. 255 SCVs right now. This is some excellent play out of IdrA. Does he technically have the ability to handle these carriers? No, not really. Not right now, but he's pumping Goliaths out as fast as he can. He's spending his money pretty well. Both players under 100 minerals there in their bank, which just goes to show how well they're spending their money. Trying to, you know, IdrA trying to attack over here on the right side at IdrA's, oh, what is that? I guess that's a new base. 1, 2, 3, his fourth that he's been rolling with for a while. That it was the attack previously that did some damage, but not enough. So we transitioned into carrier IdrA, which he's pretty good. He's pretty good at carriers. Another EMP. Oh, EMP catches the entire clump of carriers here. And this is where, if you just directly engage with the carriers, you're all going to die. There's enough Goliaths here with +3 attack that your dudes are going to die if they just move on in. They don't have the armor to handle it. They don't have the numbers to handle it. But see, if you micro properly, you never have to take direct hits to your hull, to your carrier body. The interceptors can take the hits. Yeah, look at this. It's trying to focus down the carriers while the interceptors are maybe focusing down the siege tanks. I mean, the micro's okay here by IdrA. He did lose a couple carriers there. Not even interested in the science vessel. I guess it doesn't have enough energy. There you go. It didn't have enough energy to do anything, and it is dead now. 135 to 79 total supply. It's 17 probes for IdrA is the thing. This is a desperate play by him to buy some time to reprobe up. He's not actually making any more probes, which is a massive concern. Why would he stop making probes here? I guess all of his money is going towards interceptors. And additional carriers is the idea. Can he force IdrA back away from his bases by attacking his fourth? It sure seems like he can. Seems like that's absolutely something that he can do. Another carrier goes down. That's a carrier death sound we just heard. The siege tanks can't help in the fight against the carriers, so they're just going to keep moving down the left side here and see what they can do. This is... I feel like it's enough Dragoons. Yeah, it was a trap. Ow. More trap. Ow. See? I'm telling you, Dragoon's in trouble here. Carriers have to wander over here to deal with these tanks, which means they can get flanked a bit by ye old Goliath count. Tanks trying to pull back to the safety of the existing Goliaths and then taking off to the high ground to avoid those Charon booster missiles. Yeah, this is good. This is good micro by IdrA, really staying out of the range of the Goliaths as much as he Protostly can here, using the high ground, using good micro, but it's not enough. He recognizes it's time to tap out. He can't win a direct engagement here. The number of bases that IdrA is rolling with is just too many. Too much income, too much of a worker disparity. Yeah, the attacks on his bases there when before he had enough carriers to defend himself was just brutal. It was so brutal. And the Vulture attack that was a couple of minutes ago as well killed so many more of those probes. So hats off, man. Hats off to IdrA getting a win against the hated Protoss carriers. Just very, very intelligently recognizing, one, it's a transition to carrier, and two, there's a window here where I can get a ton of damage done. And he did. He even kept using his tanks to great effect at taking out, you know, Dragoons on the ground. I guess he did get some damage done here too with those guys. But early, even just the threat of tanks rolling down in this bottom left-hand corner was enough to keep IdrA down here too. He couldn't be super aggressive with the carriers. Neither player could be super aggressive, but the tank Goliath combo was unlocked there for IdrA. And he was able to make it happen. So again, great macro out of IdrA. Defended his bases pretty effectively. Recognizing what's going on. Expanding a whole bunch. Making a ton of SCVs. And taking down the Ukrainian IdrA. Excellent, excellent TVP there. Amazing. All right. So 173,000 points for IdrA. 168,000 points for IdrA. Ended up outproducing the Protoss, actually. Which is not a good sign for IdrA when that happens. Killed more units, lost fewer units. The math adds up there. Both players losing a bunch of buildings, interestingly enough. The one recall was pretty good from IdrA, but wasn't able to repeat it. And look at this total score. Look how even that is. 51,100 to 51,400. That's nuts. That's really close. And that's the problem. As a Protoss player, if you're not out expanding the Terran opponent, you're just going to lose due to the cost effectiveness of the Terran units, the Terran mech units especially. So, yeah, just didn't do it. Did outmine a tiny bit. Actually didn't outspend. So, outmined a tiny bit. Everything else was actually more for IdrA. So, IdrA, great game. He had a game plan. He executed it. He was able to adapt it as necessary to recognize what was going on there as far as the carrier transition is concerned. And that's it. Fantastic. All right, amazing stuff. So that right there is going to be it for me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. If you like what you saw and what you heard today, you can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching. You take care of yourself.